Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to the Operation Freedom Platform and our ongoing health and wellness series based on empowering you. Not big pharma, not big medicine, not big insurance, not big government, but you. And we do that with my very, very dear friend and one of the top naturopathic physicians, not just in our country, the world, Dr. Peter Glidden. Now, in addition to as an outstanding clinician, he is also an outstanding author. I encourage you to get his books. Everybody is Sick, and I Know Why. These are available on Amazon. I believe also available on his website, which we'll get to in a minute. Everybody is Sick, and I Know Why, and Attempt a Cure with Holistic Medicine. I'd like to welcome my friend, Dr. Peter Glidden. Peter, welcome back to our ongoing series, which I think this is about our 70th, 7-0 in this series.
Well, you know what Groucho Marx said, Dave?
What's that?
Time flies like an arrow, and fruit flies like a banana.
Wow. You're a little tall for Groucho, but
I really am.
And no mustache.
No mustache, no
You
glasses.
You sounded a little like him.
Remember his program? What was that program? He had the talk show.
Oh, yeah.
Say the magic word.
Say the magic word, right? Yeah. Well, let's talk about the magic word. So the title of today's is why oil in a bottle is bad for you. So educate our listeners, Pete, because we are constantly told, well, that oil in a bottle, that's the best thing you can help. It helps you nutritionally. It helps protect you. So educate our listeners on why that is yet another piece of dogma that does not hold up.
Because it's a inside out, upside down, backwards world that we live in, which is dominated in medicine by the pharmaceutical industry. And medical professionals who have no training, no experience, no respect, and no appreciation for medical nutrition. That's, the big picture. That's why this misinformation happens. The second reason is where I have to put my conspiracy theorist hat on. And I'll dig down into the details of oil in 10 seconds here. But oil in a bottle is one of the 12 bad foods.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these foods independently have net negative effects on the body, right? Kind of like if you put diesel fuel in an unleaded engine, not a good idea.
Right.
So it's interesting that all 12 of these foods are foods that people eat all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not just one or two of them, but all 12 foods are foods that people eat all of the time. And foods that are good for you, like salt and butter, and lard, like pork fat, beef fat, chicken fat, goose fat, those are the antichrist as far as conventional medicine and social engineering wisdom shows, and it's completely backwards. So I am of the opinion, because, if it looks like a duck and flies like a duck, that the reason that olive oil is promoted so heavily is because the people who are promoting it so heavily know that it's bad for you. And the more of it you eat, the sicker you're going to get. The more of the 12 bad foods you eat, the sicker you're going to get. The faster you're going to get sick. Then you're going to go to a medical professional who delivers pharmaceuticals and surgery, the intention of which aren't to make you healthier, to cure the problem, fix the problem, complete the problem, to manage the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this whole olive oil misdirection has been done on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I can't prove that, of course, but nonetheless, all of these coincidences add up, and it's like, well, yeah, that probably makes more sense than this just being a random occurrence. So oil in a bottle, number one, I never knew this until I took a deep dive into this, but there is, I don't know if you knew this, but there exists in the world something loosely referred to as the olive oil mafia.
I didn't know that.
The sales of olive oil, the exporting and the importing of olive oil, is billion-dollar industry. It's big. It rivals cartel drug money. I think in many instances it's even more than cartel drug money.
Wow.
And because of the vast amount of money generated by this, there's all kinds of room for adulteration.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it says extra special, extra virgin olive oil, harvested by Trappist monks, grown by Trappist monks and harvested under a full moon, even if it says that on the label,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to take that to a lab and analyze it, there's probably corn oil and safflower oil and rapeseed oil and other oils in it that have adulterated it. And oh yeah, probably not extra virgin olive oil, right? There's all of this room for misdirection and profiteering and just, being bad in the manufacturing process. So if we put that all aside, even if you did, by luck, have a bottle in your refrigerator, on your countertop of extra virgin olive oil, here's why it's bad. Number one, if you look at the top of the bottle, there's air between the top of the olive oil and the bottom of the bottle cap. There's about that much air. And air has oxygen in it. Oxygen will oxidize the oil in the bottle.
Okay.
And when the oil becomes oxidized, it becomes loaded with a biochemical called acrylamide, which is pro-inflammatory and carcinogenic. And when you take the top off of the olive oil and put it into a frying pan or a skillet, or put it in, you cook with it, you heat it, the oxidation process goes into high gear, and much more oxidation, much more free radicals present in the olive oil. And then when you consume that stuff, your arteries clog. This is why mayonnaise is loosely referred to in my profession as a heart attack in a bottle, because it's mostly oil.
Right.
So now, if you had an olive tree growing in your backyard, or, in your living room, right? And you pluck an olive off of the olive oil, of the olive tree, you put it in a press and you squeeze the oil out, and you consume that immediately, no problem.
You're good.
Nobody does that.
No.
But even if you did that and cooked with it, the heat would oxidize it, and you'd be creating free radicals, which are going to create net negative effects in the human body. Oh, but olive oil has all these good things in it that I need. Well, that's correct. Olive oil has omega-3 and omega-6 essential fats in it. Then you do need those. Those are essential nutrients. Your body needs them, can't make them. But if you follow our advice, you're getting omega-3 and omega-6 in the Projoba omegas. So you don't need to get them from any other source because you've already got them. So therefore, if you consume olive oil in any way, shape, or form, you're only going to suffer the net negative effects from it. And, the problem in this regard is, well, if somebody, you give somebody strychnine, they're dead in 20 minutes. It's rapid. But the 12 bad foods, including olive oil, it's a slow burn. You don't even notice it. And, time goes by, and then you get aches and pains, and then your blood pressure gets a little bad, and your kidneys get a little bad, and your skin gets a little bad, and your joints get a little bad, and then that's just life. It's not just life. It's consistent consumption of all the wrong foods, and that stuff is like the straws that broke the camel's back, which is why what most people experience with their health is they're fine, boom. They wake up one day and they've got high blood pressure. Well, where the hell did that come from? They wake up one day and they've got arthritis. And it's like that. To them, it seems like that subjectively.
Right.
But objectively, it was
a slow burn. Slow burn.
Straws breaking the camel's back, and you just got to the breaking point finally. So
now the video on 12 Bad Foods is on the very top of our homepage at OperationFreedomHealth.com. OperationFreedomHealth.com. That's where the 12 Bad Food video is located. It's free. It's there. So Pete, let's talk. So you mentioned olive oil. What other oils in a bottle are part of the no go zone?
All of them.
Right, all of them. The answer is all of them, right?
The answer, the correct, is all of
Right,
them.
right.
Right. If it says oil on the label, don't buy it, don't use it, don't eat it. What am I going to put on my salad dressing?
Yeah, okay,
What am I
that's
gonna
it.
use
Well, that's a good question because it actually on OperationFreedomHealth.com, I believe our guru Brett,
He's
Brett,
got delicious recipes.
I think you put
for
3 salad
dressings
dressings,
that are oil-free.
oil free.
Yeah. And you don't know what you're missing, right?
Yeah, OperationFreedomHealth.com. That's where they're located. Okay,
So you don't have to suffer and just eat raw salad for the rest of your life.
Right.
And by the way, and this is really interesting, because for years in epidemiology, there's a whole group of scientists that look at the life expectancies of different cultures. And the CIA, of all organizations, has a website that shows life expectancies in different countries, all the countries all around the world. I don't know why it was the CIA that did it, but they do. So you can go to that, do a web search for CIA longevity, and you'll go right to the website and you'll see for decades there was something called the French paradox.
Oh, that's right.
That the epidemiologists could not figure out because the people in France forever were the second longest lived people in the world.
Cheese, butter, and wine.
And cigarettes.
And cigarettes, that's right.
Yeah. How can, what?
Yeah.
Right? Because cheese, butter, and wine, and animal fat, it's good for you. It's not bad for you. The French started falling from second place. I think they're in 7th place now, although don't quote me on that. After McDonald's made its entryway into France, and now what do they call the Big Mac over there? I forget. But anyway, right? The more people eat the 12 bad foods regularly, the worse their health gets.
Right.
It's a one-to-one thing. I mean, you want to see how this works? Just eat a spoonful of sugar every hour, all day long, and tell me how you feel.
So you mentioned there are. So people say, well, wait a minute. I cook with olive oil. If I'm not going to use olive oil, what do I use? Well, you mentioned it, right? Butter, right?
Yeah. Lard, pork fat, goose fat, chicken fat, beef fat, bacon fat. You can use clarified butter like the Indians do. It's called ghee. That's easier to cook things in a skillet with because clarified butter doesn't smoke. If you heat butter up too high in a fry pan, it'll turn brown and it'll start smoking. Clarified butter doesn't do that because the protein's been removed. And bonus, if you start cooking with lard and butter and start using salt on your food's going to taste fantastic.
Right.
And you're going to be the envy of your church group. You're going to be the envy of your neighborhood. Your family's going to love you because it tastes great.
So let's talk about the benefits. You mentioned of omegas, right? And we have that we have those products, the nutritional supplements on OperationFreedomHealth.com. Full disclosure, purchase of the products on OperationFreedomHealth.com does support this platform. Let's talk about the benefits of these omegas.
Well, how much time do you have?
Let's give it 5. Let's give it 5. Yeah.
Okay, so an essential nutrient, omega-6, is necessary to help in tissue repair and tissue growth. That's why chicken eggs are loaded with omega-6, because what's the function of the egg? It's to grow the little chicken.
Right.
I don't know if anybody's noticed this. Unless you have a science degree, you're probably not going to even notice this. You crack an egg open, and sometimes in the yellow yolk, you'll see this little teeny weeny red thing. It's about the size of a period on a printed page.
Right.
That's the chicken. Right? Which will grow into a chicken by consuming the egg yolk and the egg white, the majority of nutrients in which are omega-6. So omega-6 is necessary to help things grow and to help repair things. The problem with omega-6 is if you have too much of it, because remember, it's all about the balance.
Right.
Too much omega-6 is pro-inflammatory.
Mm-hmm.
Too much omega-6, you're going to get arthritis. You're going to get fibromyalgia. You're going to get something's going to get inflamed. And it's interesting, don't you think? All chronic disease is related in some way, shape, or form to inflammation.
Right.
So we only recommend supplementing with omega-6 when your body is growing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So up until about 21 years of age, omega-6 is not a bad thing to supplement with. However, in the United States, most people, just by eating what we eat here in the United States, have an abundance of omega-6 in their body, and it's usually not a problem unless you're a vegetarian
Mm-hmm.
or a vegan or, have like an extreme dietary thing like that. It's not a good idea to give a growing child, put a child on a restricted diet like that. So we recommend supplementing with omega-6 and omega-3 because it's all about the balance until you're about 21 years of age. And then after that, just omega-3.
And that's where the Prohobas come in.
Yeah, the Prohobas is 100% omega-3.
That's right.
The idea being that if you're following our dietary recommendations, you're going to get all the omega-6 you need from the food that you're eating. You don't need to supplement with it unless you're like on a weird vegan or vegetarian diet, then you do need omega-6.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically what we do. Now, what does your body need omega-3 for? Brain health, nerve health, lung health, skin health. Those are the top 4. Of those 4, numero uno is your brain. Your brain needs omega-3s and a lot of them. Your central nervous system needs omega-3s and a lot of them. If you don't have enough of that stuff, you're going to get deterioration there eventually. Usually before the brain starts to go, however, the skin will start to go.
That's right.
Your skin will get thin. Your skin will get dry. Your skin will start to crack. You'll also develop what's referred to as liver spots. And liver spots don't have anything to do with liver. Liver spots are rancid fat in your skin. Well, where does rancid fat come from? Well, let me think. Olive oil.
Right.
Oil in a bottle. Salad dressing. And my friend Wallach, Dr. Wallach, told me, Wallach has done more autopsies. It's like upwards, somewhere between 10 and 20,000, right? A lot of autopsies, humans and animals. And his depth of information in that zone of pathophysiology is remarkable. But Wallach told me, if you see 10 liver spots on the outside of the skin, when you open it up and peel it back, there's 100 on the inside. So these are indications that your body's starting to tip in the bad direction and that you should take action to right that ship. And so it's super important, omega-3 essential fats, and really super easy to get if you take the foundation pack because it's already handled. It's in there. And you don't need to do anything else. You don't need to think about it. And then just stop oil in a bottle, for goodness sakes. Start cooking like, Julia Child.
Right.
Live long and prosper, for goodness sake.
And folks, the foundation pack is also available on OperationFreedomHealth.com. Okay, Pete, and let's close this with this. Many people say, well, I eat a really well-balanced diet. Right? I eat only organic. I'm getting all my omega-3s by just eating healthy and wise. What do you...
Well, you're going to die. And you die, you're going to suffer, go bankrupt, and then you're going to die.
It's
in order to get the correct amount of omega-3s into your body, you need to eat a fish a day, 2 fillets of fish a day, every day. Just eat fish. Wouldn't be able to eat anything else. And oh, by the way, most of the fish, especially the farmed fish, is high in lead and high in mercury. So if you actually were to eat that much fish every day, you develop net negative effects from the crap that's in the fish.
right.
And oh, by the way, the companies that we lean on to produce omega-3 and omega-6 essential fats check the fish for heavy metals before they squeeze the oil out. And oh, by the way, the oil is captured and encapsulated under a nitrogen blanket so that if any gas gets into the
no
capsule,
oxidation.
it's nitrogen, not oxygen, so it doesn't oxidize until the capsule breaks in your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So game, set, match. So we make it easy, right? This is easy. You don't have to worry about anything. And it would be, I could even go so far as to say that if you were filling your body's nutritional tank up on a regular basis with the 90 essential nutrients appropriate for your body weight and eliminating the 12 bad foods, the only thing that you would need to eat food for would be for protein and calories to burn for energy, because everything else is handled.
Right.
And of course, well, maybe some antioxidants. Good thing to have extra antioxidants, teas and coffees and fruits. Some vegetables are very high in antioxidants. Those are good for you. It's kind of like the icing on the cake. But if you're doing the 90, we've got most of your nutritional bases covered. The only thing that you need to worry about food for is protein and calories. And life is pretty easy when you're on that train track.
Pete, let's talk briefly about your website. You have a new report on it. Educate our listeners.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. So, we're in the middle of medical monopoly.
Yeah.
Lots of information is being suppressed that goes counter to the narrative. So my profession, the naturopathic medical profession, one of the things that we specialize in is science-based, clinically verified therapeutics that enhance your immunity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this day and age, do you think it would be a good or a bad thing to enhance your immunity?
Oh, to the max on the immunity. To boost that immune system. Yep.
Better to have information that's not generated by nutritional supplement companies that have an agenda,
right?
But from actual doctors working with actual patients, seeing what works and what doesn't work.
Correct.
So I've collated that information and put it together on a special page on my website that walks you through all of the research, all of the data points, everything that you need to do. It's in a printed form. I've got 5 or 6 videos that also give you the inside scoop on how to do this with interviews of world-renowned colleagues of mine. These people are at the top of their game, telling you the simple steps you need to do in order to enhance your immunity. And, that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick.
Sure.
So
give the website address.
drglidden.com, drglidden.com. Check it out. It's right there in the top bar. For $29.95, you get years of access to this page on the website that has all of this information, which, by the way, is updated regularly as we get more clinical traction with what's happening right now. Because this is a moving target.
That's right.
And we've got our fingers on that pulse, and you should lean on our clinical experience because, well, it's clinical experience not brought to you by the lamestream, bought-off medical monopoly, for goodness sakes. drglidden.com. Check it out.
Peter, I'd like to thank you for everything you have done, are doing, and will do. The omega fatty acids that we spoke about, the foundation pack, that the 12 bad foods to avoid are also available on OperationFreedomHealth.com. I'd like to thank you, Peter, and I'd like to thank you folks for joining us. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.